So, remember back in my first video when I said this?
I am currently in the middle of making a conley, which is short for constructed language. I'm going to be making a whole series here on YouTube for that.
Well, that's what this is. This is the first episode of my new series here on YouTube, mostly, where I discuss parts of the conleying that I'm still working on. Yes, I know, I should be talking about it after I complete it, but if I'm being honest, it's been way too long already since I last posted, so fuck it. Anyways, I don't really know what else to say before the intro, so hi, I'm Beckson, and this is Lessons in Lúvina, Episode 1. Part 1, The Truth of Language. If some of y'all think this is going to be blasphemous, you're welcome to click off the video here. See, language didn't just exist for as long as humanity can remember. It evolved with life and has changed so many times. And people actually study how and why this happens. It's called linguistics, and there's a lot more language than you originally thought in school. Also, a huge disclaimer before we continue, I am not a linguist, nor am I a linguistics major. I'm just a quirky, autistic teen nerd who just found out about this stuff one day, and now I'm experimenting with that stuff myself and learning as I go. Is everybody cool with that? Alright, let's continue. There's a few main parts of language. The phonology, the morphology, the orthography, and the grammar. At least I think so. Again, I am not an expert in this shit. I'm gonna go in depth on these in future episodes, but for now, let's discuss part 2, what conlines are. Sometimes people have a thought about language that leads to them making their own language. These are typically called constructed languages, or conlines for short. And there are a few reasons people make these languages. Zidnaf made a video all about this, but either way, I'm gonna still discuss it on this channel, because why not? One of the first ever reasons in history is for some form of international communication. There are many names for these kinds of languages depending on the conlines of that goal, as not all conlines of this category are for full communication with as many people on Earth as possible. Regardless, you've probably heard of some of these, namely Esperanto. It's said to be the most well-known conlang out there globally. It was made by the Polish Dr. Ludwig Zamenhof, but it's not as good as people think. Anyways, let's move on to the next reason for conlanging. The second reason is to quote-unquote fix language, I think. These ones are typically philosophical languages. Some of these are Lodlan, Lojban, and Naui. Lojban and Lodlan are kind of weird, to be honest. I've heard that they're nothing like languages have ever dared to be before. They're more like computer code. It's really odd. Anyways, the first two reasons don't really matter because the third reason is really the only reason I decided to make the conlang I'm working on. The third reason is genuinely, why the fuck not? Let's just have fun with it. One of the first well-known people to conlang for fun, mostly, is the famous J.R.R. Tolkien, writer of the Lord of the Rings series. He actually got the idea to conlang after he became obsessed with Welsh and then later Finnish. After making the conlangs, he decided to make a species that spoke those languages, a culture for the species, and then a world to put the culture within. And that's what started the Lord of the Rings. In fact, he actually made Lord of the Rings as an excuse for conlanging, not the other way around. This kind of conlang, those made for typically some form of media, is called an artling. This is, I think, the type of conlang that Lúvina is. But enough conlang talk. What's Lúvina? Part 3. What Lúvina is. So, with everything out of the way, I'm finally going to answer the question that you most likely clicked on this video for. What is Lúvina? Lúvina is a conlang made by me that I started in late 2023 inspired by Spanish. It is still very much a work in progress, so if anything changes between episodes, which hopefully nothing does, that's why. I'm not going to go in depth on any particular linguistic feature of Lúvina in this episode. However, episodes 2 and 3 will be discussing its phonology. So if you want to see more of it, be sure to subscribe and maybe turn on notifications. But if you don't want to do that, just keep my channel in mind. Cool? Cool. But real quick, one more thing I want to talk about before we go. See, when you conlang, it's best to set goals and keep them in mind. So, what are the goals of Lúvina? Lúvina's goals are 1. Be somewhat elegant in its design and pronunciation. 2. Be based heavily on Spanish without being a Jack Eisenman-esque language. And 3. Be overall a fun time for me personally. I don't really want to talk about Jack Eisenman in this video. I'll probably do it in the future, but for now, just know that you wouldn't want to be like Jack Eisenman if you want your conlang to be unique while also based on an existing natural language. Well, I don't really know what else to talk about that I won't be discussing in a future episode, so I guess that's the end. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm really sorry that I posted this video months after the previous one. Bruh. Procrastination is such a bitch in these trying times. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video, or maybe the next episode, where I'll be discussing Lúvina's phonemic inventory. See ya!